So in one of the comments, a viewer, Tom, pointed me back to a link of a bunch of crap that I had written years and years, and about 10 years ago. So I did look through some of those stories and chuckled, but a couple of them had a little bit of resonated a bit with me, and so I wanted to share one of them with you, uh, if you'll indulge me. I do apologize if you'd read this before or just do not want to hear the musings of an old man. I do apologize. If you're hearing going, where's the Skyrim? I'm sorry. um, so anyway, without further delay, um, the box. I'm going to read this to. So with further delay, I'm going to read this to you. So if it seems like I'm reading from a script, I am indeed reading from a script with only small divergences because I can't help myself. So, um, the box had been sitting under the bookshelf for several months. One of my aunts bought it for my father one Christmas, some Christmas past, because, as well, he had read The Hobbit once. I would occasionally pull it out and stare at it. I marveled at the sinewy dragon, which that dragon does not look very sinewy years later, but I marveled at the sinewy dragon sitting atop his mountain of gold. I wondered about the heroes who, in my mind, stood somewhat shakily at the entrance to the dragon's chamber. What hardships had they been through to be standing face to face with almost certain death? Why were there only two of them? Certainly, it would take more than one fighter and one wizard to take down such a tough looking dragon. What if the dragon breathed fire? Would the fighter's armor save him? Did the wizard know any spells that would allow him to bring the beast down? Drop that torch, man, and start casting. And inside the box, well, this was no game. This was like no game I had seen. There was no board, there were no pieces, no spinners, just a blue book, another book it labeled In Search of the Unknown, Dungeons and Dragons Module B1, and some dice. Now let me rephrase that. There was a blue book with lots of arcane tables and charts and descriptions of elves and dwarves and warriors and wizards and wands, and a set of what looked to be the coolest dice in existence. I badgered my parents. 8-year-olds are pretty good at badgering, if I remember. And at some point, between the guilt of having consigned my aunt's gift to collect dust under a bookshelf and the need to shut me up, they agreed to play this very new, very odd game. So that weekend, my father, my mother, my uncle, who I think was about 16 at the time, not sure, and I all sat down to play. My father had read the rules over the course of that week, so he would be the dungeon master. The rest of us grabbed some six-sided dice. As an aside, neither my parents' Yahtzee or Risk sets would ever be the same, and we started rolling up characters. We spent probably the next 2 hours creating characters. I chose an elf because I thought the idea of fighting and casting spells was cool. Though, if I recall correctly, I didn't get a spell at first level, either from the rules or from my father's misreading of them. And let me tell you, I've gone back there and I should have had a spell. I have read that book again, Dad. Oh well. My mother, the magic user, would certainly handle the spellcasting duties for my group. Really, Mom? Read magic? Really? Sleep is right there. It is two under read magic, Mom. My uncle made a stalwart fighter and rolled a whole 3 hit points. Believe it or not, most of our time was spent outfitting our fledgling expedition, going down the price list and discussing in detail things we would need for an extended trip underground. A lot of thought and deliberation went into managing our meager equipment budget. This was serious business, and we were prepared for anything. I wish I could regale you with a detailed tale of our misadventures, but it was a long, long time ago, and I don't remember much. I do remember the now infamous Gygaxian room of pools, but I'm pretty sure we were a little too cautious to go randomly drinking murky water in such a dangerous environment. I remember my uncle and I meticulously mapping the halls and rooms of the dungeon, determined to be able to find our way out when we were tired and carrying armfuls of loot. Of course, that all went out the window when we fell into the pit trap. For some reason, everyone at the table found the tumble hilarious, uproariously funny, and we laughed, tearing up for 10 minutes straight. From that point, we continued our expedition, injured, wet, relieved of much of our equipment. If you recall, that pit trap fell into like a pond underwater, a great pool, and so you had to take off most of your stuff or risk drowning. So, as we stumbled through the caves, we were beset upon by a most horrible beast, the giant tick. At this point, my mother and uncle dived behind a rock, both having a single hit point remaining. My 8-year-old self, with a whopping 3 hit points left, charged in. We traded ineffectual blows for a bit, but then the tick hit me. My dad frowned as he rolled the d6 on the table for everyone to see, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Only 2 points of damage. I countered, hit, maxed out, and slayed the beast. And then we called it a night. And we never played again. We never escaped Module B1. Somewhere, my uncle is still hiding behind that rock, and my mom's mage is still waiting for her chance to cast Read Magic. And I am still the valiant Tick Slayer, hit for 2 points of damage and 35 plus years of enjoyment. Thank you for indulging me. That story still gets a smile out of me, and it has a lot more meaning as I get older and my parents and uncle get older. So thank you very much for indulging me, and I appreciate it, and I will talk to you later.